This is my association, 20 years in business, 22,000 solds in this database. Teams of business brokers for the last 20 years have been putting their active listings and sold listings in this database. But what does that mean? That means we have a lot of data to show what willing sellers and willing buyers have been willing to do previously, So this gives you a good idea. If we were selling a house, how would you find out what the house is worth? You would look, at comparables in the neighborhood that sold recently, and that's how we would do it. But for this application, we're going to look at all the counties, just a preliminary rough overview. And I narrowed it down already to construction. I'm not going to put dates on here because it's going to be too restrictive. So it's all 20 years. Now, that's not the right way to do a valuation of a business. We should be looking at the last 12 months because that tells you what the economy's been doing. But I'm just going to leave it open. I'm putting $25,000 minimum adjusted net. Okay, this is the lifestyle of the owner. Some of it is salary, some of it might be cash, some of it might be business expenses that weren't really business expenses, personal expenses that were run through the business, or non-business expenses. So I'm just going to say, show me any business that's been profitable over 25 grand. Now, I'm unclear. In one column here, it says you're making over 60 a year. And then in the other column, I see the adjusted net per month is 15 a month. So 15 a month times 12 is not 60. So I'm unclear as to what your adjusted net actually is. So until we have some real numbers, it's hard for me to be really exact with you. Let's compare you to businesses with a maximum gross of 150, because from what I can tell, your gross sales are 7,500 per month, which was a low number. Well, we want to really be like, what is it going on in 2020? What do the last 9 months look like? Let's annualize it. Are we looking at 100 grand? Are we looking at 150? I'm not sure. So again, just to show you the process, we're looking for businesses, all time frames, anywhere in Florida that made over 25 with those subcategories that grossed under 150. And all sources of data. Can we prove the financial information on the tax returns with a P&L statement, annualized, owner-approved, estimate, pro forma? How are we going to prove it? So this is an A-rated, B-rated, C-rated, like that. If it's on your tax returns and you're paying taxes on it, then it's more credible. So we can get into all that discussion with comments. I'm going to show you the solds with comments. So let's go over here to what comes back, and I'm going to sort it by the volume of solds. I have 15. Generally, we want to narrow it down to 3 or 5, but I didn't do that because I wasn't exact on the subcategories, the net or the gross. But again, this will give you rough numbers. So I sorted it by lowest to highest, and you can see the assets that are included. This guy had 6,000, 20,000, 15,000, 20,000, 35,000, and like that. We're going to do a calculation of all of them, and it's going to do some math for me, 15 of them. What do buyers look for? Buyers are looking at the adjusted net. What is my lifestyle going to be? Can I afford the 2 cars and the kid in college? How little do I have to pay for a business? What is the least I could put as a down payment to earn this lifestyle? Now, they may not only be looking at this particular type of industry. They might be looking at other industries that have adjusted nets at a smaller price. But this gives us this category if they had to buy something in this industry because that's their passion, that's what they love, and they have to stay in that industry. This guy got a half a year earnings, this guy got 1 year earnings, this guy got 60% of an earnings, 92% of an earnings. So once we could figure out what your adjusted net is, for example, if your adjusted net, the benefit of being the owner every year is 100 grand. This business would have been $127,000. Here it was 63, it actually sold for 80, which multiplies to the 1.27. Almost a year's earnings, 1.2 years earnings, 70%, 67, 58. Okay, you get the idea. The average came out to 89, call it a year, 1 times net. Now, we need to look at the P&L, do all of the add backs, cash, adjusted, non-business expenses, figure out what that is. But I would say, 89 cents on a dollar of profit, all the things that go into the profit, which is the adjusted net, that would be reasonable. Now, remember, this is an average. Some sold for higher, some sold for less. They, on an average, took 234 days to sell with a 63% down payment, 6% roughly for rent. The adjusted net of sales, they were keeping 61% profit, right? Or adjusted net, what we call the net with, all the benefits. Sold price to sales was 52 cents on a dollar. The average in this group was earning 66. Sold price was 57 on average. Sales were averaging about 111. So this was the class that I compared you to. If I know different subcategories and different information, I can do a new search. Again, it's Eric 954-562-2019. Been doing this a long time, 31 years, spending about 50 grand a year promoting my listings. I'm a top producer in the $1 Million Club or more. I've got a team of over 12 people. We'd love to talk to you further. If you're really serious about selling, we'll be happy to assist. 954-562-2019. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.